So I had this basic idea that was inspired of the song Space Unicorn.
Like partially they're made not to do this, so it doesn't cut your head off.
Yeah.
But, just little particles of glass splatter in my face. And I was like spitting that out. I was like, what the fuck is in my mouth?
My long-term memory is insane. Like there's some stuff that I can remember from like childhood really well and vividly. But like I don't remember what, you would say to me a couple days ago. So this is my first episode, guys. Welcome to the Hash It Out podcast. I am the host, Tim, or Hashbrown Roller Coaster, whatever you know me as. And with me, joining me tonight is my brother, Vinny, or Colton. I'll probably refer to him as Colton. But he's an artist, a wonderful artist in that matter. And he likes to doodle a lot. He's very fantastic with it. I suggest following him on whatever socials. But I got one question for you, brother. This is the marking of my channel. Is one question to start us off. What do you have to hash it out? Like what do you got to hash out, man? What do you want to hash out?
Is that my cue?
That's your cue.
Hello, I'm VinnyVidiVici. Vinny, for short. On the socials, you can find me on our Instagram at VinnyVidiVici, VinnyVidiVici4. Yeah, on Instagram. I mostly just been reposting lately, but I do have a few fun little drawings there if you want to give me a follow.
Yeah, have you been active on your Jace Jake, or what have you been really doing in the way of
those
art?
Pictures of Jace Jake was basically for like the prototyping of what I want story to be for what I guess is going to be my take, because we both have like ideas we want to do. Yeah, throw them out there and compare and contrast ideas. Yeah, Jace Jake.
Hold on. Wait. You sounded really loud on the mic. Could you like push your mic back just a bit?
Sorry, I was leaning into it.
No, it's okay. I like the excitement, but it's like it's peeking out on my end. Sorry about that.
Peeking out on your mom.
All right. As you were saying, Jace Jake.
Jace Jake has been a thing that it's just a game we play in our yard, but like we've had a lot of fun, and when we would tell our friends the stories we come up with, they're like, wow, that's like some good stuff. You should do that, but for reals.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if anybody told me that. I just felt like they were good for reals.
No. In our heads, in our 10-year-old heads, it was great. But over the years, we've revised it.
Great. Frick you. I am great. Frick you. No, I am great. Frick you.
Listen, man, listen. To give the people a little bit of background on what the hell we're talking about.
Oh, yeah, first episode, we have to
explain ourselves a little bit. So they already know you're my older brother. You've already have, the creative ideas and stuff. So, no, listen, man. We started this game back we started this game back when we were like 11, 12 years old, something like that. And it was just a game we played in our backyard, like as you mentioned. And it kind of just developed into a story that involved two brothers, but they weren't actually brothers.
They're two brothers, and they're going to save the day as they're running from
exactly
an alien invasion.
Exactly.
Two brothers, they're running from an alien invasion, and
all right.
that was a Rick and Morty bit.
No, I know what you're talking about, but hold on. So like two brothers, we were just kind of like dinking around, throwing fists at each other like most kids do when they're young. They just play pretend. And that's what it was for us. Like between Colton and I, we enjoyed each other's company to the point where we just were like, hey man, let's go play this Jace Jake game in the backyard and come up with whatever comes to mind, which was literally anything that we ever watched on TV.
I'm going to do what Goku did, but I'm going to go Super Saiyan 5. And you're like, I can go Super Saiyan 6. And I'm like,
yeah. So we had a little bit of rivalry.
I'm going to have to go Super Saiyan 7 to beat him. And that, that's how anything starts.
And at the time, I remember being a sore loser and never wanting to truly lose to my cooler, smarter older brother. Because you were the one coming up with all the crazy ideas and attacks and all that.
Well, I can do that +1. And I'm like,
right.
And then well, if I made the story like this, and you're like, I'm a Kamehameha blast. I'm like, but this one, unaffected.
I did not have much in the way of original thought back when I was that age because I don't know. You're
like 10?
Yeah, I was 10. I wanted to copy almost everything my older brother did. Like including the hair. I remember whenever you get a haircut, I want to get a haircut just like you did. And the ladies would be like, we can't really do that. You have different hair types. I didn't know what that meant.
What does that mean?
You're like, shut up, bitch. just give me a freaking hair. So,
just grab some hair from the floor. Throw some glue on your head.
Do you remember this? Like once we moved from Missouri to Michigan, that's kind of where we started growing apart a little bit. Like I was starting to develop my own like personality, get my own friend group, and then we had like actually like I think at this time in our life we were like 13, 14, a couple years later. We actually I started having different ideas, different story arcs. And so we started changing. It wasn't just about like our Jace and Jake characters anymore. Like we started venturing out into other characters, which for me,
expanding the storyline.
Yeah, expanding the story. So for me, I had the same character every single time, just a different name, but slightly different powers. He didn't punch. He blasted air or fire because I was a big fan of Avatar. And so
The Last Airbender. Specify.
Oh yeah, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah, you're right.
Kids these days only know Avatar for being the blue funny kitty cat movie.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forget people don't know that. Like kids these. Well, I don't expect kids to listen to this. They don't have an attention span for this stuff.
No, you're right. You do have to be at least 13 years of age, or with your parents' consent, if you're a minor, to be using the internet.
Right, yeah. Well, yeah. So once we got into Michigan, we were, having slightly different ideas. I don't remember where the story went. I think we just took it to space because space was like the next exploration. And like literally every show we've ever watched, even at this point in time, Dragon Ball Z, our main...
Dragon Ball Z concluded in the 90s, and it went to space.
It went to Super, it went to Super. That's where they started fighting other...
Well, technically, they kind of went to GT, and then around that time... Hell, it was only like after I graduated high school did Super come out, and we were playing it long before that.
Yeah.
Like we came up with the plot line which you're trying to get around to.
Yeah, like
before it was DVC.
Yeah, we started expanding different characters, different ideas, and then we started adding friends into it because it was like we also like our ideas were cool enough for our other friends to kind of go, hey, that sounds fun. And they would come over after school or during the summer and play with us. Like we just basically, what would you call it? Be sparring with Nerf swords and guns.
It's called LARPing. Live action role play.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. LARPing. I guess that's more accurate. So we do that kind of stuff. And
friends who even have a concept of what that is, our boy Brandon.
Yeah.
I don't know of his internet presence, if he even has one, but he was a guy. He was smart. He knew how to do stuff to get what he wanted.
Right.
He was able to duel his ideas against mine, and we could bounce off each other and create something wholly unique.
Yeah. And that's where our, not only our story expanded, but, like ideas, character developments and stuff like that. Like,
the scope of character interactions.
I also like most of the characters that I would make would be like slightly knockoffs of the previous character, but like I said, slightly different powers.
Well,
And
I mean, if you don't mind me ripping the Band-Aid off, you would make Goku, or a combination of Goku and Avatar Aang.
Yeah,
because they were the coolest example of a guy using powers.
Yeah, they were. They were to me at the time, And
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it was just you were doing the same thing for our game to that point for years.
It worked. It worked for me.
Yeah, it's a basic hero, and it's fine.
But eventually, I started getting more elaborate with my characters. And one of them, I liked the name. Just the name, simply. The name was Ramsey. I don't know why, but that name was just so cool to me. And that's all I wanted was the character's name, Ramsey. Just Ramsey. And this is where, my brother's genius mind comes into play. He's like, I like that name. That sounds like a cool name, too. What can I do with that name? So he started to develop this whole, powers from A to Z, and Ramsey was the end of the project line, and I was just like, what?
That's such a cool idea.
Like my mind was blown. I was like, bro, I just like the idea. And that wasn't the only thing Colton did. Like I'd give him just a basic idea and he would just draw out this entire elaborate plan. And
I did draw like 26 characters on a whim.
Yeah. Well,
that's right.
And I just remember that one other thing you did for me. Like, I remember I asked you to help me with a short story for a class. I just needed one page of him to help me out. I just need one page, man. God. Just help me out. What do you think of this? I give him a basic idea. And I was like, it's about me going to another planet. Fine. It's for a science project. I just
It was writing like some specific like ecological detail about a new land, and most of the kids were like, I'm on an airplane, I land on an island, it has these kind of trees, something they covered in class previously, and the teacher's like, yeah, sure, island, this kind of flora and fauna, it looks good. But like most of these kids had like 2 or 3 pages of a thing at the most. I think the most anybody did was only like 2 pages.
No, it was just one. That's all the teacher asked for. He's like, just give me a basic story, how you found the creature, what planet it was on.
Creature.
And what planet it was on and all this other stuff. So it was my idea was, because I was just in this phase, it was like a space unicorn living on a planet, and Hermit and
Harry Grip. Some people might know his name. He made a song called Space Unicorn.
Yeah.
Play it here.
What?
Thank you. And that was a note for the editor.
Steven.
Are you fine? Oh, God, that was Tobuscus. Cut out this last 10 seconds. All right. So Space Unicorn was this fun little song. And you might remember it if you're an old timer like us,
or not, or
if you're just a silly child who listens. It's probably on YouTube Kids right now.
No, it isn't. I doubt it is. Anyway,
it's this unicorn animation thing about a random whatever character.
Yeah, like 15 years ago. Well,
kids eat that for breakfast.
Okay,
actually, no, only 10 years ago. It was animated in like 2012-ish.
Okay. All right.
Because I remember these things.
Okay. So I had this basic idea that was inspired of the song Space Unicorn and flying its rainbow lasers or marshmallow lasers all around the world giving hugs and stuff. It was a great song. So I told my brother, draw this for me and I'm going to present it to the class. And my friend Hermit and I, my science partner, were already coming up with a basic story because we were, 14? We're like, well, what should it be? 2 guys, Hermit and Hashbrown, going off.
We're 2 brothers, and we're running.
So, no,
we're running from
2 friends were trying to find the space unicorn. They didn't know how to do it. So what we thought about was like, Hermit gets catapulted to Uranus. Hashbrown goes after him. or something like that happened. I can't remember the full.
Was you, the name you wanted to call yourself in this thing.
Yeah, in this scenario. Yeah,
that
you
were going to read in front of your classmates.
Yeah, so it's just going to be something funny. We find Hermit on Uranus because of State Farm, like a good neighbor. So
yeah, that's right.
We bleep off. Yeah, it all adds up at the end. And we find the unicorn.
That one was actually kind of funny to me. I love.
Yeah,
I remember. Okay, what you're trying to get at was I wrote this story for you with your funny little jokes as like 2 or 3 parts.
Yeah,
for what was like. What you really wanted to say to make your friends laugh.
Yeah, something
But
quick,
in between
simple.
those 2 or 3 parts, I had 20 pages of you trying to unravel what could have happened to Hermit, which was described in the first page. It was your ex-girlfriend at the time who catapulted him.
Yeah.
And, you basically go through a day of school, and you're like, Sarah, I know you hate me and my best friend, Zach. What'd you do to him? You can't hide the truth. And she's like, I looked him in the face. And you're like, yeah, like a good neighbor. State Farm is 10 feet away from Zach or whatever. And you're like, I'm on a new planet. I can't breathe. And I described what the planet of Uranus would be like from, mild research Googling.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he... Jimmy had to read this in front of the class. He's like, I'm not going to read 20 pages.
Yeah, all I asked was for him to kind of read it, see what he could do to kind of adjust it. I remember coming in the day after, and it was 7 pages in. I'm like, bro, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, oh, you said you want me to help you out. So here it is. And I was like, bro, why? And I was like, I'm not going to read all that. That it's insane. Like, I'd be reading an entire story when the teacher, all he asked for was something simple. And mind you, I think I tore out, I crossed out all. Yeah,
you grabbed the first and the last page because everything in the middle was fluff.
Yeah. Yes. This is an English class. This is freaking science class. And Hermit and I were freaking out because we get to school and I got a stack of papers in my hand, and Hermit's like, what do we keep? What do we get rid of? And
I remember you told me the teacher was like, oh, wow, so you all took this thing, serious. You wrote something heartfelt about, the science you've learned. There was no, only Timmy has turned his paper in. The teacher's looking at 20 pages. Oh. He's like, what?
No, that was a different time. That was a different time. I know what you're talking about.
Oh.
That was actually English class, the moment that you're speaking of. But with Hermit and I in this moment where we were just so nervous in front of the class because we had to throw away 90% of everything that you created. So
I wrote it intentionally to where if you don't want the middle part, you can easily throw out any number of pages because a lot of it was just I was mostly writing, I remember writing about how you hated Sarah and how she had been so mean and wicked and all the things.
Yeah.
Just describing random crap that she supposedly set up to make your day or your life worse. Uh-huh. Because, I thought you would find that funny to say, oh, I hate Sarah so much. She made this and that happen and people would go out of their way. And this time, I dropped my juice on the bus and she told a kid to go stomp on it or whatever. Yeah. There was a lot in there that I thought you would like to vent about her, but
listen,
I guess I misread that one.
I could have told her about all this, but I didn't. I thought it was funny that I mentioned her in it in the beginning, but this is why I didn't mention it.
Too detailed. She's like, oh, I felt guilty. I launched Zach into space. Go find him.
No, there's a reason why the teacher was like, hey, listen, don't add anybody in there that doesn't want to be in there. So I had to cross her name out of that too, and give him the final revision of all the squiggles and marks that Hermit and I made. And you know what? The funniest part to everybody that they heard, because Hashbrown and, was suffocating on the planet Uranus, was him making out with a horse.
No, I remember describing this. There was a thing that fish do with they separate oxygen and H2O. Mm-hmm. I basically described that scientific process to describe how this creature survives on Uranus, which is its atmosphere, I'm pretty sure, has it doesn't have oxygen. I think it mostly has what is it? I
don't know.
Fuck.
I mean,
It's what yeah, do that.
Atmosphere.
Basically, it converts that gas into oxygen, and I described the space unicorn breathing into Timmy's mouth and giving him breath so he could regain consciousness because he was suffocating. And Hermit was like, Hermit was like, hey, this thing saved me. We're gonna ride it back to Earth, shoot marshmallow lasers, and be back in time for the end of school. And like that was all they read was like that last half of that page was like, shoot marshmallow lasers, back in time for school. Awesome, cool. Thanks for the story, bro. I'm like, wonderful.
Yeah, and the end of it.
Didn't see the line right before that, which was makes out with his lips to him burning. Oh
no, we read that part and everybody laughed at it. They're like, oh, because I remember them saying, "You made out with a horse," and then that's all the teacher said too. I was like, "There's more to the story. He was saving my life. Come on."
No, what he was describing was scientifically accurate. If a creature was to perform CPR, actually, no. Okay, kid.
Mr. Cushman, please. All right, so I looked up the atmosphere of Uranus, and it's 83% hydrogen, 15% helium, 2% methane.
Methane. Oh.
Small amounts of. I don't know.
You know what? I feel like I did read the helium or hydrogen part.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it uses some of the hydrogen and whatever makes oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
And like I looked up how fish breathe and then how to do CPR, and that was like the extent of the science research I did.
Yeah, just to humiliate me.
You were so inspired.
Well, see, that I was inspired because I remember years later I saw that picture of the space unicorn because it was in my room somewhere, and I was like, oh my god, I remember that story. So I started rewriting it, and instead of Sarah, it was my other girlfriend at the time, and she thought it was funny, and yeah, so I started rewriting it, adding a little bit more detail, a little bit more like I don't know, advancements to the story, I guess. Like I added more people other than Sarah. I added other classmates and stuff like that. Kind of gave it a little bit more depth. I added a bus scene. It was crazy. I don't know what I was going for, but
bussing. Got it.
Yeah, I was bussing. No, it was great, but then I dropped it because I was like, man, this is too elaborate. And I lost like my attention span on it, essentially, Yeah, but it was a good story in the end. Like if I would have continued with it, yeah. I didn't have any notes coming into this. I thought I asked you a question in the beginning, but you never answered.
Yeah, you did. Then we kind of went on a tangent. I didn't know what my cue was.
Your cue, yeah. Oh, I should have. Anyways.
Okay, so we're gonna splice that story in like when it's appropriate. And then start from what do you want to hash about?
We can just we don't have to splice anything. This is all just going in. This is all just one continuous flow.
You're making those edits.
No, I'm not. I don't have to edit anything.
No.
But
yes, you do.
I'm not putting in the space unicorn.
Edit in the Perry Grip song.
No, I'm not. Well, I don't think I want to do that.
Wow. Okay.
If people are curious,
awkward 12 seconds.
No, there isn't going to be 12 seconds.
12 seconds of silence.
No, there isn't going to be 12 seconds of silence. You were silent.
Well, now they know. The audience knows.
They're going to be like, oh, man. Oh, now we got to hear it. No, so answer the damn question, brother. What is something...
What I want to hash about?
Yeah, what do you want to hash out? What is something you got to get off your chest?
Something I've wanted to hash out with somebody.
Step away from the mic a little bit.
Something I've wanted to hash out with somebody is dishwashers.
Yeah.
My dishwasher has... I'm pretty sure we made like... my wife had cooked beef for chili. And I feel like in my own laziness, I just rinsed it down the drain, didn't think much of it. I know in the past, anytime we would wash hamburger meat down, we'd throw, soap in after it. Didn't think about it, just went to do it. I get a little obsessive. Specifically, new Pokemon came out. But I'm like, all right, just going to do this quick, get back to the game. Finally finished it up. Finally can focus on other things. But dishwasher's getting clogged. And when you have kind of an old, cheap dishwasher that gets clogged where you can't really reach it normally, it's a big pain in the butt. Because this thing has like its little filter spot, but you can't really pull it out. You just have to scoop out any of the big pieces with like your fingertips.
Yeah.
And that's unpleasant. Mostly rice that was stuck in there.
Oh man.
But where we found the clog was like in the drainage tube. Like I stuck a thing in it that like pulls like hair and stuff out of a drain.
Yeah.
And all I got back was a little grease. I'm like, yeah, grease, gross. I'm like, oh yeah, let's use some degreaser. Can't really get the degreaser in there when it's thick.
Ooh.
And so today we got one of those little Drano snakes. Had to squish it with pliers a little bit because the tube was only 5/8 and this thing was a 1/2 inch.
Oh damn.
Yeah, just very slightly smaller. Wasn't much to really pinch. But I did manage to pinch my finger.
Oh gosh.
And I have a blood blister now on my pinky.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's unpleasant. Like, it's kind of thick like a callus, so I couldn't just poke it. I would have to chew it off like a rabid dog if I wanted it to, not be a bubble of pain under my skin. Dishwashers.
Damn, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, they suck.
They have their moments of goodness. Like, I just loaded my dishwasher.
We had to use industrial degreaser to break through it.
Wow. You know what I used? When I first moved into my apartment, my drain didn't work for my dishwasher either. And I remember going to the office and not complaining about it because I didn't think about it at the time. There was like another problem at hand. But there was some other kid there and he was like, my dishwasher's not draining. I'm not going to pay my rent. And I'm like, oh, you could do that? Like you could like threaten to not pay your rent.
That's kind of what landlords are there for, to make sure your living condition is livable. Yeah, that's a good... I need to remember that. Curse me in my... Man, I bought this place, damn it.
You sure did. So that's what this kid was talking about. And I was kind of inspired by that. And I was like, wow. So I might do that, but not anytime soon. So when I was like shopping or something, there was like some lady that gave me some advice, and she's like, yeah, white distilled vinegar helps clean because it's got natural, like,
it's a natural acidic agent.
Yeah. And so I was like,
it can break through that stuff without damaging or corroding through the like tubing.
Yeah. So like I used some of that in the dishwasher a couple of times, and it eventually just drained out. Like I obviously I ran it, and I just put a bunch of distilled vinegar in there, and it eventually just unclogged, and never had a problem since.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
It's something I want to hash out, something I want to get off my chest.
That was my hash.
Yeah. Oh, hold on, I think I have it written down here in my notes. I do have notes, but it's for the VR Experience podcast.
The what experience? Tell me about that.
The VR Experience. It is another podcast that I do with my friends Marco and Young Mac. I'm not going to say his real name because he doesn't want it to be said. So Young Mac and Marco are my other co-hosts on the show. But I'm tired of waiting on them. That's why I create my own. That's what we're doing today.
Yeah, flip those guys.
Not so much flip them, but they're sleeping. They want to say, yeah, let's go big, go home. And I'm like, all right. And then they go back to sleep because they come up with excuses on why they can't do a podcast, or they say they're busy when I don't know. I look at Kenny.
You know them personally.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have an excuse.
Yeah.
But then they're non-excuses otherwise.
Yeah. So that's
So are you saying
that's not something I want to hash out. That's not what I was getting at. I was just saying
not
I
your
have notes
personal
from the
beef
video.
with them?
No.
You don't want to hash beef on the first episode?
No, not yet. Hash beef.
That's a real food, so you know.
Yeah, I know it is. It's like corn
hash beef.
Yeah.
An Irish dish, I think.
Very delicious. Man, what is something I want to talk about? What was it? Something I want to hash out. What is that? I can't remember what I want to hash out. I was thinking about it today. So I'm a little unprepared. Basically, I wanted to talk about behind the wheel Karens. Like I was on my way to work this morning, and I got some McDonald's, so I was kind of like eating behind the wheel, and I was going slow at the light because I didn't want to crash or hit somebody. So I was taking my time when the light turned to green, and I see in the other lane, because like you can see on the other side where people want to turn right at the light, but on the opposite end, and this lady's like waving her hand, like trying to get me to hurry along, but I'm going slow because I don't want to crash. And I'm munching on some French fries, and I see this lady go like giving me the hand sign like to hurry up, and I'm like, oh, Karens. That's something I can hash about. So yeah, Karens, freaking behind the wheel Karens, in traffic Karens, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
just people like that who just get on my nerves. Somebody who just
telling you to hurry up, to move, to get out of the road.
Or tailgaters. Those people just piss me off. Like, you don't have any idea. Like, I have like this silent, like passive rage. It's not like I visibly show it, but like when somebody's riding my ass in like a 25 mile per hour zone, I just slow down to 20 miles per hour. And I'm like, you don't need to be going that fast in 25. So I slow down to 20. And if they're like still riding my ass, I'll just coast at 20. And if I so happen to hit 15, I will. But I don't normally go that slow. I've had somebody do that to me in Hillsdale. Like, I remember, because, like you're coming up into town, and it's going from 55 to 25 because you're entering town. So you just let off the gas and you're coasting into town, taking that little hill up. And the hill is what slows you down. Well, I had some douche right behind me. Like, I could see him, like, just right into my rear end. Like, dude, I'm like, come on, man. It's 25, and you know it. And this guy's just riding my ass the whole way through, and I'm going 25, and he just doesn't let up. And there's traffic, so I go a little bit slower because I know I could take advantage of his anger, his impatience. And so I see him in my rearview mirror just flipping me off the whole time. And I'm just laughing my ass off. Like, I'm one of those drivers. Like, they need to learn some patience. You know?
My wife, she's way more cautious on the road about like everything. I don't want to be like, oh, she's such a backseat driver.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll bring that in one day. Who knows? This is only the first episode. But because our cars have been especially fricked. They are. They're on their way out, man. But we still got payments because we're not financially. Well, I was going to say stable, but we both have a stable job.
Literate.
We bought shit. Literate.
Literate.
I know what you mean. Literate.
Yes,
we bought cheap. I know how to read finance.
Right, but like sometimes your behavior gets over your expenditures and stuff,
What are you saying? I'm saying I bought a cheap car because I'm stupid?
No, I'm not saying that.
I bought a cheap car because I couldn't afford a better car.
No, I get it. I was just saying that sometimes you opportunity costs. Like you buy something, you don't think about it down the road. I don't know how you are with what you're getting at, but anywho,
I couldn't buy. To me, the cars he bought were not the best because he bought them used, and then like I managed to total both our good working vehicles.
Yeah, I remember
within like 2 months of each other. Because here's a fun story: the first one I was goofing off watching a video on my phone. Just it's a long drive down a narrow road and. Going uphill very slowly, and there's a down tree I didn't see, and it I dinked it, deployed the airbag, and it shifted my frame just a little bit. Their total.
Wait, weren't you texting, or was it just like...
I was just looking at my phone. I looked back up, and I was like, oh, crap. Because the road was slick, it rained.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it rained pretty hard the night before, but it was still lightly drizzling.
Yeah.
Road was wet. I slid. And slid like going 55.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Totaled that car.
Yeah.
Had to be picked up by my dad.
Yes.
So I was in the process of moving out.
Yeah.
It was a whole thing. What was happening?
Mm-hmm.
And then the next vehicle was was my wife's car, an Impala, a luxury one too. So it had heated seats, a sunroof. It was nice.
That's what they call luxury?
When it has the extra features like that,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. The Impala I have now is just cotton seats and
yeah. They're nice. They're warm in the winter, right?
Pretty sure it's more. Yeah, it's fine. Like it has its benefits.
Yeah.
So I mean, when we bought it, like the traction control was acting up. Some of the electrical was bunk, and they actually had to fix it because when that comes on, it messes with your engine, how much you can accelerate or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had to get that fixed.
Yeah.
And it was right after Christmas. I was on a back road, completely pitch black, rolling down the hill, and a deer was like, oh, hey, there's no better time than to try and cross the road when there's a single person driving really fast, going downhill.
Dude, your experience with cars is ridiculous. Like, that's not the only car you've trashed. Like, oh, fuck. I remember you rolled, like, and this wasn't your fault. Well, I don't know if it was your fault or not, but it was snowing.
I can't really control when the road decides to bend me out. No. I was going like 45 because I knew it was raining and then snowing. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to roll 45. Mm-hmm. And then next thing I know, I'm facing where I was going. I'm like, hold up.
Wait a second.
And then I'm trying to shift into neutral. But by the time I grab it, I realize I'm like looking to my left is the ground. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And then, I was backwards and upside down in a matter of seconds. And the car rolled and the tire sucked into the mud and stopped rolling a second time. Yeah, it was marsh. It was only partially frozen.
Yeah.
We live in Michigan. It's swampland.
Yeah, that was insane. I remember that day because I think you left early for your braces. So I asked a friend to give me a ride home. And thankfully the guy lived in Hillsdale. And I remember hearing about that. Like, you rolled the truck and like everything that Dad had in there, like his air breather, the chain in the back seat, could have all killed you, like a Final Destination moment. But it didn't. Like,
all that like hit the ceiling, then went back down.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as it went up, but that was like an inch away from my head. The glass, like, because the whole frame kind of crunched a little bit. Mm-hmm. The only thing I remember, because it kind of hit me in the face, was the glass like shattering, and not completely, just like partially. They're made not to do this, so it doesn't cut your head off.
Yeah.
But just little particles of glass splattered in my face, and I was like spitting that out. I was like, what the fuck is in my mouth? I had to climb out through the sunroof, which it worked. I'm like, oh great. There was somebody on the road like, oh my god, are you okay? I'm like, what the hell? I was a little shooken up, but I wasn't like scared. And they thought I was high. Because I was in such a poor state of mind, I'm like, man, my dad's going to be so mad that I messed up his truck.
Right.
Like, I had no regard for my own life. And the fact that happened, I was just like, whatever, my dad's going to hate me forever.
And he did.
You know what? No, he didn't. Mary was more upset than anything because she was like, oh, I have she had the finance in her name and she didn't want to have to talk to Dad about it.
Oh, yeah.
Because... Yeah, she was, wanting to start her life over again with her kids.
Yeah, man.
That's something to hash out about another day. Is our stepmom.
So many rabbit trails to follow.
Episode 1. Stick in, folks. We're gonna tell you about our mommy issues in episode 2.
Oh,
My mother never took me to Chuck E. Cheese.
No, they did actually. Wait,
No, they didn't. I never went to Chuck E. Cheese.
I've been to a Chuck E. Cheese though.
With your friends who loved you.
Who loved me? Yeah.
My friends never loved me.
Well, I don't know about that.
I'm making a joke.
I think your one friend, Kevin, he still loves you.
He does.
Yeah.
He's a good man.
You guys would always be on each other, like roasting each other. Oh.
Talking about my boy.
Yeah.
Hey, dog.
Kevin. Yeah, I remember because was a relatively big guy back in high school. I remember you telling me he was so big that he's never seen his toes before. And anything you ever told me, I believed to 100%.
And you would just say it, and people would be like, "What the hell is wrong with you?"
So, yeah, one day I'm hanging out with Kevin and Colton both at Kevin's mom's apartment. And Kevin's over there clipping his toes. And I'm like, "What the fuck, Kevin?" And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "You could see your toes?" He's like, "Yeah, why wouldn't I be?" And I look at my brother and I was like, "Because Colton told me you couldn't see your toes because you're so big." And he's like, "What the fuck, Vinny?" Like, he just gets so mad. He's like, "Why would you say that?" And I was just like, I was just so dumbfounded. Especially, your older brother, he tells you things and you believe him wholeheartedly. And he tells me, "Yeah, girls don't poop either, Tim." So I'm in track practice with this thought in mind. And my buddy Brandon, also Colton's friend, is like, "Yes, they do." And I'm like, "No, they don't, bro." And then he's like, "Fine."
Have you ever seen a girl poop? Well, no, but I
just believe whatever my brother has. So we go to a girl and we ask her that question. And obviously she's like, "Of course we poop." And I was like, "What?" I was like, everything I've been told is a lie. And yeah, I was pretty gullible as a kid. I feel like I still am to a certain degree.
Yeah. I've got you to say so many things.
Yeah. Like, you really influenced my my mindset in some regard, like the weird aspect, at least. Like, for the most part, I'm pretty normal. For some people, like, I could be a little weird if I'm comfortable with you, but who isn't? But no. Like, I'm pretty normal comparatively to my siblings. You know who else I wanted to get on the podcast? Sorry, we're kind of bouncing off like this ADHD train here. I wanted to get
I'm pretty sure we have hard ass ADHD.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah. No, I want to get on our half brother Darren one of these days.
Oh.
Like, because from what Felicia's told me, he's like some kind of like, I don't know, like therapist or psychiatrist or somebody that can like help you with your problems. And I'm like, well, cool. Like, I'm not saying I would want a session, but like just to get in there with him, kind of talk to him, see where he grew up and all that stuff. Most people don't even know we've had a half brother. Like, we didn't know until I think we were much older when we were like asking Dad all these questions. And he's like, yeah, I had one kid before you guys. And we're like, whoa, really? And he's like, yeah, back in my day when I was young, dumb, and stupid, he didn't know.
Our dad.
He didn't know. He didn't know. They didn't have like physical health class, or maybe they didn't have health class back in like.
He's
the
also
60s.
Just a teenager who didn't care.
That's true.
So he has fun with his first serious girlfriend at that age.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I will run away and marry her." Didn't really run away, but they were
dumb love.
Hard practicing Catholic family.
Yeah.
In the 60s? I don't know.
60s. So my dad was older.
They have a kid before they're both 18, and they give him up for adoption.
Yep.
So they're like, "Oh, what if we did stick it out and be parents?" And they're like, your parents, knew you well enough.
Yeah. But like the beautiful end of that story is my dad reconnected with him like 45 years later or whatever age he is now. I don't know. Basically like a couple years. Like I think it was 2021 is when my dad reconnected with him. So I don't know. Do the math.
Yeah. You didn't say when he was born. How can they do the math?
Huh?
You didn't give a birth date.
Oh, that's true. I don't know when he was born. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know when he was born. Like, obviously, let me look when he Facebook his name.
Born some time ago.
Yeah, some time ago.
Point is, he was able to connect with them before he passed.
Yeah, my dad.
Father,
yeah.
Pour one out for the old guy. He passed in his sleep, so wasn't cataclysmic.
Yeah, that's kind of
pretty rough.
It was rough, but I'm kind of glad that's how it ended. Like I would prefer him in his sleep instead of, any other way. How do you see somebody's birthday on Facebook?
Facebook?
There we
I don't
go.
know.
About.
I haven't checked it.
About life events. When was he born? Damn it! When was he born? Oh, November 12th. Whatever year. Huh. I don't know. But he's like
50 million ago.
Anywho, I want to get him on here because I just want to hear his side of the story, his childhood. I could probably text him any day, but he lives in Japan.
He's born in the 70s, at least, yeah.
Like he experienced the 90s, so like I want to hear it from his perspective. I mean, I can ask anybody.
Know about the 90s?
I mean, not just that, but like, the transitions over time. Like it'd be a cool conversation to have, basically.
Oh yeah.
That's all I'm getting at. And I want to have him on. It's just I think about that stuff all the time. Like, who do I want to get on? And I was listening to Joe Rogan today, and he was talking about like he just texts people. And I'm like, wait, obviously that's what most people do anyway. But like it was like he doesn't have a manager reaching out to people to bring on the show. He just texts them, "Hey, you want to come on?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And I'm like, "What the hell? It's literally that easy." So like,
it really is.
And
there's so many like shows I've seen on the internet where people are just like, "Yeah, I shot them an email and they did a voice line or recorded this or that for me." Yeah.
So I mean, that's what I've been doing for the VR experience. Like all the guests that I got on with them.
Yeah.
I knew those people and got them on here. Yeah. But there's a lot of ideas that go on in my head. There's a lot of things I want to do, like YouTube wise, podcast wise and stuff.
Definitely, yeah. Because I've been there. I'm somewhat of a creative myself.
Yeah, and you've ventured out on your own far before I have. Like it kind of took me a group of friends to realize that group of friends isn't as motivated as I am about
Marco.
Oh yeah, Marco. Yeah, I mean, I was talking about Marco. Basically, group of friends. They say they want to do something cool on YouTube. We do it, but it's not consistent. So I was too afraid to move out, like to like do things on my own until like recent years, and now I have the liberty and all that stuff where I'm not waiting on anybody anymore. I mean, so it's exciting. It's an exciting trip. Like I'm definitely like nervous about like the future, but I shouldn't be because I don't know where it'll take me. I guess that's kind of where I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Like
you don't want to waste your energy worrying, so you're just gonna go forward. I think my phone just vibrated.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm surprised nobody's called me during this time. Usually Alexis calls me.
Well, it is nearly 11 p.m.
Oh, dude. Random thought.
Didn't mean to dox you there.
No, it's fine. Speaking of notifications and stuff, you remember? Now this is going to be totally random, completely. Like this is way out in left field. You remember the movie Holes, right?
Yeah.
So there's this kid. You remember Zero? Victor Zeroni or whatever?
Yeah.
He grew up and he made a YouTube channel.
The person.
Yeah, the person himself. And I don't know how I stumbled upon it. I think it was just thrown into my YouTube feed. because YouTube does that. And he hosted like this big reunion, like 20 years later, of the whole cast of Holes like getting together, and there was like an event in California, like so fans of the movie and the show, the book, whatever, all showed up at this thing. They had a Q&A and everything, and he made this YouTube video about like the reunion, and Shia LaBeouf was there, all the other characters were there, and I was just like, whoa, this is so cool. So I started following him because he does other things on YouTube as well, like gaming. And he also played Lethal Company. And I was like, dude, that's so great. Like, I like watching people do things outside of their, outside of their,
their, sorry to interrupt. Yeah. Do stuff outside of what you thought you knew him for.
Yeah. And it was just like one of those, like, big heartfelt moments. And I was like, that's so cool. You see where he's at, where he's gone, all the people he thanked, like that helped during the film and all that stuff. So
yeah, I
was kind of wowed.
Come out in like 90s or early 2000s.
I think 2002. I think
I remember reading the book
2003 because they said 20 years ago. And then
seeing the movie and thinking that like the movie was just as close to the book.
Yeah,
because it was a grounded story, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
Because it was, go to the desert to find a hidden treasure. That's good. Fantastical or whatever. But it could probably really happen, maybe.
I didn't know that it was a book. Like,
oh, you didn't read the book?
No. If it was 2020, like if it was 2003, no.
Yeah, you're young. That's right. I forgot.
I was about like 7.
2007, really?
Hold on, wait. 27.
I remember reading that in like maybe 2005-ish summer school.
I was probably about like 7 if it was 20 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, I was 7. I didn't really care to read at that age. I was like,
yeah.
So, like, I mean, the only time I read was that was forced.
I think I got to read it in a group, so like I didn't have to read it right away. Because back then I remember just being nervous about how I sounded to people. Because I don't know, I was socially awkward, anxious all the time. Didn't really understand. And I know like I would just be shitty randomly, and I'm like, oh god, people notice me being shitty. Better be, quiet for a while. And that was like undiagnosed issues. So,
bro, see, that's something I never even like growing up. You look back at your life, you reflect, and you just think about like what it would be like if we were diagnosed, or like not like so much medicated.
I feel like if we were diagnosed, that'd be cool. We could get medication, but like our parents wouldn't. Because who our parents are is so fuddy-duddy, olden times. Oh, I believe in a smack on the wrist and a, 4 across the cheek if you give me sass. Yeah. Or any reason why you shouldn't be doing a thing. I'm like, Dad, I have a hard time paying attention to your old-ass stories. And he's like, no, back in my day. I'm like, hey, Dad.
Back in my day. Yeah. You get it. Like, it's our parents, they were boomers, needless to say. And all up until I was probably 18, I didn't believe I had anything wrong with me. Like I'm not saying like,
well, it's not that there's anything wrong with you. Yeah. It's just you function a specific way that's been identified with our modern, I don't want to say medicine, but understanding that, parents had no concept of modern understandings or consideration whatsoever.
Yeah, so, that's a better way to put it. Yeah. That clears the air for sure. And I can't remember where I was going with that, but I just think back to like when I was a kid, like being like totally off the walls or whatever, random crazy, and then my dad, he'd be like, what's going on with you, man? Like, why are you spazzing out like this? I was like, I don't know, I'm just in such a good mood.
I have a lot of energy. Why do you have so much energy, huh? You keeping something from me? Keeping crack from me?
Keep it quiet from me.
No, Dad. I just, woke up feeling good and hyper this morning.
Yeah.
We have something to try to prove with that. I can't be fun and hyper.
Our dad was never
five
like
reasons
that.
to be. I'm more hyper than you.
Our dad was never like that. He was always loving
just
and understanding.
understanding as he could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
knowledge.
mentality wise, I feel like I didn't change until I was like I remember becoming conscious at like 3 or 4 years old and being like, why is it so weird right now?
Wait, what?
And then I remember becoming conscious when I was real small, thinking why people were so weird, not really knowing I was a toddler or whatever. But then it wasn't until I was 15 that I started thinking the way I think and being aware of that. And that's what I thought you were going to say was becoming self-aware.
No. I was just talking about reflecting on my childhood.
Oh.
Not self-aware. Dude, when I became self-aware of shit was when our parents were going through like divorces and stuff. I remember when I think back to it,
early childhood divorce or stepmom divorce.
No, there was no stepmom divorce. She just left.
Yeah, but kind of a divorce.
Yeah, I guess legally married but physically separated.
Yeah, that's about as emotionally divorced as you can be sometimes.
Yeah, yes. I'm talking about the first marriage. I remember the farmhouse in Bethany, bro. I remember doing running out. Dude, we were little. I don't know how I remember this stuff, but I remember being a kid running around butt ass naked and stuff like that because Dad would just let us because we were kids, we were fucking 1 and 2 years old, and I don't remember how. But remember, there was that hill, the dad that was 3 feet.
Yeah, it was.
It was 3 feet tall. It was
only it was a cellar. It was an old fashioned cellar that was a hole somebody dug in the ground, put a little wooden structure in it, then covered it with 2 feet of dirt. Yeah.
So basically, our dad would put plastic down, water the plastic, and then slide us down the plastic because it was a big hill in my eyes. And according to my dad, it was only 3 feet tall, but I was less. I was less. I remember than 3 feet.
I vaguely remember seeing Dad next to it, and basically kind of throwing me down it, just arm's length. Mm-hmm. His arm span was half the height of the thing, so he'd just pick me up, go, huh, and I'd be sliding for probably 10 seconds, but felt like a minute.
Felt like forever. Yeah, I don't know how I remember all that stuff, but I do. All the way up into the craziness where the fighting and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've wanted to write short stories about that, what I remember from that day. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how to put it in words because I didn't want to make it seem like it was too personal. But I didn't want it to seem like I was completely distant from it. So I really I struggled on that. So I deleted it. I was I don't want to do that. But dude,
I know what you're saying. And
my long-term memory is insane. There's some stuff that I can remember from childhood really well and vividly, but I don't remember what you would say to me a couple days ago.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Sometimes I can remember, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes you said that, or I would tell somebody a story and they're you already told me that, and I'm I don't remember telling you that story.
Well, time for part 2.
Well, time for part 2. And then I would be telling them the story and yeah, I remember you told me that happened, this happened. I'm what? When did I tell you this? And then I would have to force myself to remember, I guess I did tell you that story. But yeah, I don't know I don't know why my brain works like that. I want to get a professional to I don't know, diagnose my brain in some way.
You're a dip You're a dip, Timmy.
Oh.
It's as simple as that. You're just a dip.
I paid $50 to get roasted.
Welcome to therapy, bitch.
Oh. Oh no.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I want to call it there. It's been about an hour, so I want to call it there. What do you guys think of the first episode of the podcast of Hash It Out? Anything that you want to hash out, get off your chest, let me know, and I'll bring it up in the next episode. Peace.